day. No, I'm kidding. Today is October 30th, 2025, and this meeting is called to order at 4:40. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Marco?
Here.
Commissioner Miller? Stepped out of the room. Commissioner Taylor?
Here.
Commissioner Smiley?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Weipert?
Here.
Commissioner Smith-Charles?
Present.
And Commissioner Woodward will be joining ex officio.
Yes, thank you.
You have quorum.
Wonderful, grateful for the quorum. I will then ask Commissioner Markham if she would be so kind to lead us in the pledge today.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Also, thank you to the members of EDI for adjusting your calendars so you could be here for this 4:30 meeting. We are due for now the approval of the agenda, if I can get a motion for that. Moved by Commissioner Smiley, supported by Commissioner Taylor. This is what it is. So if no objections, I'll take a, voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none opposed, this motion carries. Next up is public comment. It's our first one, and we've asked that you allow it to be about items on the agenda. There's 3 minutes available per speaker. Anyone like to address this committee today? If so, please make your way to the front. Anyone else after this nice lady? Okay, so we'll just,
This is for executive directors, huh?
awesome. So if you want to
More
look at the
chairs?
same time, I can make the timer a little longer
There's 4
to
chairs.
accommodate. Or if you each want 3 minutes.
Here you go, right here.
How about a hearty 7 minutes? How's that sound? But we'll give you a little grace as well. Please introduce yourselves and please share what you have to say today.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kim Viner, Director of WODA, and I'm here with the directors of the other 3 local service providers. Lynn Grzymkowski from NODA,
Renee Courtright, OPC.
Evelina Taylor, People's Express.
who are funded by the Oakland County Transit Millage. We are standing together today, or sitting, because we all share the same goal, to advance transit in a way that is thoughtful, innovative, and sustainable for the residents who depend on it. We LSPs are grateful for the opportunity and the good faith the county has placed on us for the past 3 years. Through the continual growth of those services and the team we have created with all 5 providers and Oakland County, we believe we have more than demonstrated to the Board of Commissioners our capabilities as transit providers. First, we want to be very clear, we all agree that a countywide transit plan is important. We support innovation, technology advancements, regional connectivity, and continuous improvement. We want to work with the county to find efficiencies and expand service, not resist change. However, we have serious concerns about tying the new parent agreement to a transit plan that is incomplete. The plan contains inaccuracies, and local providers were not meaningfully included in its development. HNTB's time on site with each provider was limited to roughly 2 hours at the very beginning of the contract over 15 months ago. That is simply not enough to grasp the daily realities of door-to-door mobility, community needs, or the complexity of serving seniors and individuals with disabilities while bringing affordable transit to the general population in rural areas. Without regular interfacing with the consultants, the LSPs could not reflect all the changes and growth each of us has experienced since the inception of the millage. Showing growth of 300 to 400% across the board in less than 3 years is a remarkable achievement for any service. Additionally, we began these discussions with a 3-year contract, which then shifted to 5 years and is now presented as a 1-year agreement. A 1-year term introduces funding instability and directly undermines our competitiveness for major federal and state grants. These grant programs evaluate systems' sustainability contract horizon, and organizational maturity. Short-term agreements score poorly in these areas. Before moving forward, we respectfully request a clear explanation as to why the parent agreement was changed to a one-year term. We also respectfully request that the parent agreement be amended to reflect a longer contractual period and completed by February 1st. This timeline is critical because fiscal year 27 federal 5311 and state LBO grant applications are due at that time. Missing this timeline risks significant operating support for Oakland County riders, not to mention disqualifying us for other federal and state funding opportunities that may arise, or may even eliminate approved funds not yet implemented. Our Qualtrics surveys consistently show 95% plus satisfaction, reflecting a people-centered approach that allows seniors and individuals with disabilities to live independently while expanding transportation accessibility for all adults. We are proud of that, and we want the county to build on that success, not risk unintentionally moving backwards. For the past 3 years, we have been told we are valued partners, that the county does not intend to operate our services, and that we are the local experts. Today, we are simply asking to be treated as such. We are committed to the vision of all ways moving forward in transportation. We LSPs work in cooperation with each other and the county, and we want to move forward together with a multi-year agreement, provide meaningful provider input on the plan, and continue developing a process that reflects partnership, not pressure. I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. I'm gonna pause it. Did anyone else want for this group have anything to share?
I think Kim really hit home on the funding sources because they are in a 2027 application. It's what we have to submit in February. And if we only have a contract goes through 2026, when they're evaluating that, it's not going to align with us. I know People's Express, we are not right now receiving 5311 funding, so this would be the first year we're applying, SMART would be applying to the state for us to access that type of funding. And in order to leverage that, we want to be able to demonstrate that we have a long-term contract.
Yes, we all worked together today to come up with that message because
Yeah.
we really do believe that one message is important in knowing that we all come with the same message and the timing of the contract is meaningful to us.
Well, certainly thank all four of you for making time to be here for this. Your comments have been heard by the committee, and we welcome you to stick around, obviously, to see some more of the discussion. Is there anyone? Thank you. Anyone else like to address the committee? Sure. Make your way to the front and please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Rick Hamill. I'm Highland Township Supervisor. I'm on the board for WODA. And when I first got into office in 2012, the first thing that came into my purview was what is this bus system that we have out here that doesn't seem to be functioning? Ever since then, I've worked hard to get to where we're at today. As Mr. Woodward can attest himself, I took a lot of heat for being probably the only supervisor that was actually in favor of the millage. And to be a Republican and to have to be from an area that my own township voted against it, but I still persevered. What I do want to say is that we have 4 incredible executive directors. And I have really thought very hard about this plan that is proposed, and I know that the young ladies over here all have their issues with it. But I think the important part for you guys to understand is that there's, at about this time, $300 million probably spent over from the millage, building a goodwill that I don't think you could ever purchase any other way. And I think one of the fears that comes across is that the way the plan kind of reads, if you're not really reading it deeply enough, is that it looks like somebody's trying to take all of their hard work and give it to somebody else, a single provider. And I think that there's in my own mind, I look at it and I go, well, I don't think that's really the case. I think the case is, and Eli used the term umbrella. If you look at SMART, they have a single chief executive officer and they got a whole bunch of vice presidents. And they have areas and districts and all that stuff. We have the same thing over here. We're essentially the vice presidents of the organization, each of them managing their own district. And I think that the key of this is that we want to make sure that we capture and promote all of the goodwill and all the work that these ladies have done by making sure that they continue to be a part of this. And I think that that is the game plan in reality. Although I know that there's some worry about it. So my intent is that I think we have to move forward. I think we do, and way back, one of the first meetings, one of the comments I made is we need to be working as one. And I know these ladies heard that from me at that time. We need to be working as one, and the way you do that is you have to have some type of an umbrella that controls that or helps make it happen. So I just hope that you folks as commissioners understand that how important this program is and how we keep it moving forward. And the only way that it can move forward is to maintain the core group of people that started this thing to begin with. They have learned very hard to learn to work together when you're not doing that. So please support what they've done and move it forward that way. And I think 1 year is probably too short, so.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, for your comments today. Is there anyone else here who'd like to address this committee on items on the agenda? Okay, seeing no one else making their way up front, first public comment is closed. Now that takes us to item 6 on our agenda, and this falls under Transit Ad Hoc Committee recommendations. There are 4, A through D, and pretty much besides the name of the entity, have the same language, so I would entertain taking them together.
I will move that we take all of these items together, A through D.
Okay, that's
Support.
motion moved and supported. And now, I know most of us are ready for some conversation. Let me start with our chair, ex officio.
If we take them all together, then, the amendment discussion, we're taking back up the item that was discussed previously, and there's an amendment, so we'll do an amendment to amend all of them simultaneously.
That is my understanding.
Got it. I'm good. Well, I'll make that motion to amend,
Well,
or you want to,
yes,
at
because
the end of the day, I think it's really about the amendment.
it is really about the amendment. So yes, let's do that.
I was just like,
Moved by
for discussion
Commissioner
purposes.
Woodward, supported by anyone? Commissioner Johnson. Great, now, help us to, and Mr. Cooper is technically our presenter under the main motions, but if you'd like to come onto the table, sir, you can add value to this, what are we doing? Yeah, discussion. Liberation was the word I was wanting.
Thank you, Madam
Welcome.
Chair.
And I wanna certainly give Chair Woodward and Mr. Johnson carte blanche if you two wanna go to the top of the table as well, because you are listed as well as presenters, so, but if you're comfortable where you are.
I'll keep my seat.
But yeah, so whoever wants to kick us off, how did we arrive here for these amendments?
So, in terms of laying out the process that we've gone through, and I'm in agreement with much of what was said by the public comments in terms of working together, in making dramatic increases in a very short period of time, and it's all based on the reality that we work together as partners. We brought in HNTB as a consultant to produce a plan for what's called the Community Transit Service Area. We separate the community service area with the smaller providers from the metropolitan southeastern part of our county that's served by SMART. So there's not fixed route bus services primarily in the areas that we're talking about. These are what are called demand responsive services provided in small transit vans, cutaways, at times minivans. And so it's a disparate area and it's large and there's a lot of folks that need to get to a lot of different places. And when we passed the millage, the southwest part of the county had communities that had individual municipal agreements. So People's Express was serving 7 different communities, each within a microclimate. And I'm laying that out as background just to give you an example of what the advantages are in a direction we're going of what the planners are recommending. So the plan got kicked off and appreciate the commissioners approving a $500,000 contract budget. So this is not an inconsequential, it's a quite substantial plan. The consulting team went out and visited the sites of all of the operations. And, you know, the operators can speak for themselves that these are not palatial. They're in retired fire halls and the like. So the issue of meeting them on their home turf, the consultant did that. And then we've convened, as is typically the place in planning processes, meetings throughout the county, public meetings. Our consultant has been to every transit providers coordination meeting for the last 1.5 years since they signed a contract. Every draft document that was produced was circulated to all of our operators so that they could be aware of the work as it was emerging. Now, clear, the plan's not done, so there's not a final document where it's all synthesized. And as soon as issues were raised by some of the operators that, hey, this doesn't reflect, we immediately convened a meeting with the providers and the contractor. And the contractor said, give us your comments, we'll adjust the plan. And that's in the real world where that's at. With regard to what is it that we're striving to do, and the intent is go back to the Southwest. In the Southwest communities, the increase in ridership is well over 300%. Not because it's a different provider and not because it's a different geography, but the internal boundaries within that sub-area were broken down. And now if you're in South Lyon and you want to go to Commerce, you can call People's Express and you can get there. Years ago, you couldn't before the millage. And that same phenomena, I suggest to you, and what our plan says, exists when you have 4 operators in a geography larger. So it's not as compact as just, but it's one of the issues that having 4 separate entities where you have dividing lines where we can only go this far, and that we as a county, the millage says we have countywide service. And so what we've negotiated with the providers is that the service is available countywide, but if you go beyond a certain line, you will be transferred to another operator who will complete that trip. And that's a inefficiency for the riders. And so the intent is to make it better going forward, not to spend less money, make it cheaper, make people less receptive to the services. And there's some questions about the plan being not done yet. There's no debate about that. It's not done, and the work is underway in order to respond to the comments. And we're looking towards the middle of November to have a revised draft to get back to the providers, not back out to the public, but to our most important stakeholders, our partners. So I appreciate the passion that they have. That passion is what creates the high level of service that our constituents receive from their staff. The real question is, how should we go forward? And then the issue of how do we get from 5 down to 1? The only thing that I can say is that if we are all in agreement that we're doing a plan together, we're gonna implement that plan together, 5 years, let's just keep working together. Now people are throwing sticks and stones and we don't like this, and you're not listening to, and you're making us go away. It's like, we're still working on the plan, that's agreed to. But what we want is not to have a plan adopted, let's say, February, March of 2026, and then we have to wait until 2030 to implement it. If we had a 5-year agreement and there was no willingness or commitment to implement it, so the idea of coming back with a shorter term allows for the plan to be complete, conversations about what the implementation looks like. We could either amend that agreement at that time, potentially, but that there's a requirement that with the way it's currently fashioned, that we'll all be in the room together during this time in order to address how we're gonna move forward for the next 7 years. Because the millage expires on 2032. I'll stop there.
Alrighty, thank you, Eli, for that. Is there, yes, Mr. Smiley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What can you say, or what kind of light can you shed on this idea that there's a federal contract that's gotta be lined up with something?
So we, Oakland Transit, as well as the operators, have very close relationships with all, the transit circles are small. Okay, the same state officials, federal officials, we all know them. I've been asked by the operators repeatedly over the past 3 years to sign letters of commitment from Oakland Transit that we're going to be funding their proposals. So there's no basis to say that I'm aware of, that if we only have a 1-year contract, we're ineligible, because the funding entities, MDOT, FDA, they come to us looking for letters of commitment because we have a multi-year pledge for funding, and we're the majority of the budget for each of these operators. So I haven't had any specific conversation. I have not had SMART, the FTA, MDOT call and say, oh, what's going on here? We would, as a matter of course, sign letters of support for these projects, assuming that they're consistent with the services that our community and our constituents need. So I can't speak to whether they've had a specific conversation. There are programs, they have deadlines, applications have been drafted in the past, and I've provided letters of support repeatedly. And that would be the case going forward.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Okay. I didn't see any digital hands, Mr. Johnson.
I tried to raise one and it didn't show.
No worries.
So,
I see you.
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. All right, several thoughts. First question, Eli, do we have a rough ETA on when the plan will be signed, sealed, delivered, finalized?
So again, it would have been last week, except that the process says, hold on, we're not quite comfortable yet. Working with HNTB staff, we have a proposed deadline before Thanksgiving to have the redraft.
Could you, for less familiar people, what's this acronym you're referring to?
I think that's the corporate name, HNT. I don't have the names, it's
great.
HNTB
This is the-
Inc.
That's the company.
It's the consultant that we appropriated $500,000 to
Yeah.
help develop the
Yes.
plan that.
I bet once upon a time, there were
Thank
4
you.
people's names.
So, and thank you for that. So I think, all right. If I may.
Please,
Is
you may.
your attorney here? Because I feel like we're kind of doing a weird like pseudo negotiation right now, and it's kind of like
We would
inappropriate.
never do
Our
that.
attorney is not here.
Okay, well then I
We can
won't.
definitely speak.
Okay, cool. So I think several things can be true at the same time. One, I absolutely understand that, like, I would be uncomfortable committing to something that's in draft form. I think that that's a fair human reaction, and I get that. Also though, knowing that the hypothetical due date is under a month, then within a 3 or 5 year window of what this contract was originally going to be, then certainly for the majority of that window, the due date would be in the past tense, not in the future tense. So I think that 2 things could be true at the same time. One, I don't think it's fair to commit to something that I don't know what it looks like. But then 2, I would like to see some, and this is where I'm like doing a pseudo negotiation. I would like to see some sort of assuming that we are engaged better and we are able to collaborate on like all the things that are in the proposed, assuming that we have a substantial say in helping to shape the OCCTP, then yes, we will, once it's in the past tense, because that will still be the majority of the runway of the contract, commit to working on that. I'm trying to do both things at the same time, and that's kind of where my brain is at. But I'll surrender for now, Madam Chair.
Yeah, maybe a little surrendering.
Oh, the floor, not my thoughts.
Mr. Woodward, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's important to come back because I very much agree with a lot of the comments that were made by the providers. Going from, starting this transit journey, being told there wasn't people who wanted to ride it, and to see doubling, tripling of ridership is proof of concept that the public needs it. And I think increasingly more the public's supporting it because of a recognition of the need that's happening. I think it's a celebration. When we started, and only about half of us, I think, around this table were there when we got the millage passed and raced like rapid fire to get a contract standing up that at minimum aligned with what we committed to in the millage, a base level of funding for our local providers as well as a base level of funding for SMART. And then we have been learning over the last 3 years. I heard reference that it was gonna be a 5-year contract. I know that was part of a conversation, but we never agreed to that. And one reason is that, I would argue we're still learning on what this is. And to be able to, to push off 5 years, to have the conversations that I think are more necessary in a shorter period of time is important. We had the transit committee met and talked. It came through, Edie and I, passed unanimously in all those areas. And then literally in the last week or so, then I started hearing from things, I started hearing from elected, I heard that the world's on fire and everything's falling apart. And I'm like, how can that be that we literally went through all of these meetings? I've heard the argument that we're waiting to the last minute to do this contract when I know it's been worked on for months. So that's incredibly frustrating. But to Commissioner Johnson's point, I agree. The language that was in there, I read it in a way that we're, as a county, we are going to have a countywide, a county transit plan. We committed to spend the resources to be able to do that. But it only works if we're working with our partners to be able to make that happen. And between Edie and I, and at this moment, there were concerns about the plan being referenced that we're committing to, because the decisions going forward and where we invest more, strategic decisions, building efficiencies, not only just for the rider, but helping these organizations in some case, have more than doubled their budget. How do you get the efficiencies to make sure that we're maximizing lowest cost per ride, maximum number of rides, and where we need to be pushing these resources in order to make this transit system even better and see the ridership go up. I completely agree. The plan's not done yet. We need more time with the plan. I think it's perfectly reasonable. We just started this journey 3 years ago. And taking whatever time it needs to be done to get a plan that I'm sure Eli will be presenting eventually, that will be formally adopted, because it will help inform where we make future strategic investments. What's the point of the plan and particularly that expenditure if we're not gonna be able to do that? I hear the sensitivity, and I think Supervisor Hamel said it well, that how some people may be feeling. I'll just speak for myself, is that this is probably one of the greatest accomplishments that I think that I've had opportunity to be part of in this county. And it would not be possible for the providers behind us, who literally jumped ahead, didn't even know what all this was going to be, but to see territories grow and working together in a way never before is phenomenal. And I think that the demonstration of a willingness to do that. I think Oakland Transit and Eli and his team have also demonstrated a commitment to continue working together. And I think we're gonna get a plan that we can all be proud of, that is a North Star, not something that everything has to be implemented today, but put us on a track to, at minimum, working towards, as 2032 will be here before you know it, where we present to the public to continue this. And at what level do we want to continue this in order to achieve things? And so, I'm supportive of the amendment, because the reason we're here is because the language of the plan is not finalized and we need more time. And that's 3 months to finalize it, 5 to kind of say we're really good about it, maybe socialize it with communities and others. At that point, we need to come back, because the agreements going forward need to be commitment and alignment to that plan. And I think we're gonna be making funding decisions based on that. And so to keep them disconnected doesn't make a lot of sense, which is why I mean, and I think people around this room that many of our contracts in this county are 3 years with multiple year option renewals. I hear the concern about funding. I don't think that there's ever been, there's not a demonstrated situation that we're not gonna fund the continued service that we have been, and I think Eli, as I mentioned, there's ways to make sure we hit all of those. And if we have to move rapidly to address a particular funding situation, we can do so. We have in the past, and we will do, going forward. But to stretch beyond a year, which is, I think, gonna be at least the amount of time to get the plan finalized. This is like, honestly, the most important part of the plan is to me is like, what is the phase in? Like, what are the objectives and what's the phase in? It's like, are we gonna more status quo for the next 3 years, and then year 4, 5, 6 are gonna be more of an extension? It makes it easier, and for me, to support a longer term plan. Otherwise, putting off to the end of the decade to have the conversations that are necessary to improve efficiency, to deliver more rides and efficiency, to maximize efficiency of these organizations that have grown in a short period of time, seems very, very much appropriate. A 1-year agreement that goes from January to December versus January to February, I'm less concerned about that, but I just don't, I would like us to get to a longer term plan sooner, but I don't think we can do that until we get the plan finalized and then adopted. Adopted as part of this, and then I think we can, I frankly feel more comfortable of a longer term agreement. But remember, we started this, we rushed out of the gate very fast to get a 3-year contract. I was very uncomfortable going beyond a 3-year contract because I think we've learned so much in that 3 years. We need the next 3 years at minimum to work it out. But realizing that there is gonna be a plan and there'll be some alignment on it, I'd be open to even, going a little bit longer once the plan's adopted. I'm very reluctant to have a long-term agreement before we can formalize and incorporate the alignment around a plan. I think I said everything I need to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion from commissioners? Mr. Weber.
Over the years, I've been on this committee for 10 years or 12 years in finance and HR, all the committees. And we've heard it numerous times that they need longer contracts so they can apply for the grants and have stability. And I've heard you give a letter of commitment, but over the years, I've heard that often, that 3 years is too short, that's why it's 5, they're guaranteed funding stream, that they can represent to the feds and this money sources. So, it seems, I get you, we're still, we've got the open contract, but the last transportation meeting, we were at 3 years. It was 5 and we shortened it at your request from 3
to
3 to 1 and 1.
Yeah.
So.
I would say the crux of the issue here is that there was language in that plan that referenced the plan, the plan, which I didn't hear a single bit of objection over the last month around that until this last week, which I get it, particularly if people, it's the question of the unknown. And so, why 1 year to get the plan locked down? I'm more supportive of long term. I guess the only issue around the funding that we still come back around, we fund still at an annual basis. So, the argument that they know that they have funding for another year, we come back and approve the funding on an annual basis already. And that number is identified on an annual basis, it's not identified on the total term of the contract. So, again, the concern about not being able to apply for or get any grant because of lack of funding, to have a letter of intent, a letter of support from the funding entity in support of that grant, I'm just not aware of the instance in which it was, well, we're not gonna fund it because we don't believe you actually have the support for it, when we would have the support for it because we have the funding through 2032.
And it wasn't it's in the millage, the entities are actually named in the millage.
Right.
That they're gonna be funded.
Most of
Right.
That's
Yeah,
my
most.
question, is their funding.
A base level,
I'm sorry.
a base level,
So,
yes.
So their funding comes from us.
Yes.
We're the ones who, if there's grants to be drawn from the feds, we do that. Is that correct or no?
So the providers are completing the applications, but the funding entities are reaching out to me through them for a financial commitment, a financial letter of support. Because when we look at their budgets that are in your packages for approval, 60 to 65% is Oakland County Transit millage funding of their overall budget. And so they don't have other means of revenue they use the county millage and the operations that it supports to access state funding that is a complement to existing funds that are spent. And so that takes you up to about 90% of the overall local providers' budgets are sustained by us, and the federal agencies, and when I say federal agencies, actually the RTA and SMART are the designated funding recipients, and they're the ones who administer, as well as SEMCOG, some of the processes. They call Oakland County saying, can you get us a letter to commit to this? Straight up, period. And we've provided those letters. Those projects have been funded, 5310 projects and others.
Anyone else?
Would you consider 2 years? And that's what the kind
Oh, go ahead.
just a little bit
Viper.
cleaner window.
Sorry, I can't recognize
No.
people on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's commissioner debate at this moment. Mr. Wiper, continue.
Did you want something else?
No, I saw someone on the wings.
I'd just like clarification.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wiper, did you have anything further?
Would you consider 2? I mean, that's
So, well, I guess it comes back to,
because that puts us in that better window of seeing the plan, getting it out there. Their concerns on their February deadlines, early 27, right? But I know, I've heard that.
I mean, that's that though. That is how it works. I mean, in terms of an actual, I mean, from the practical way that it works, that we have this plan that is gonna get finalized. In my experience, if things take longer than we want, so if 3 to 5 months,
Right,
if we get it done 3 to 5 months, that's great. And for at that point, we could go into a longer term contract at that point. I mean, that's the objective to get to. I mean, just throwing out another 2 years, is it 2 years, like we're not, does it delay implementation? I mean, I don't understand what we gain by that. We don't
gain getting the plan done, which might take longer than 3 to 5 months. I mean, you just said everything takes longer than we hope, right? I mean, it just does. And it does. I mean, we're doing great, but things take longer and the time goes by fast.
Well, I think it takes, I certainly hope it doesn't take a year.
Yeah. No, but you know how time goes by fast. So, I mean, 2 years would satisfy this concern on stability. We'd still have time. They just put it to 27. Be plenty of time from 27 to the end of the millage to get other things done.
Well, this is robust.
I mean, I'm asking if you'll take a friendly amendment. I mean,
I think it should be 1. I feel very strongly it should be 1, so that we can get to a longer term agreement after the plan is adopted. And we have commitments for funding for everybody. I mean, we have in the millage and the entity that provides the funding, we have the letters of support of all those things.
and another question is, do all the LSPs have a seat at the table to participate in negotiation of the contract? We've covered that, I think, yes.
Is that a yes?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and and that's true, right? I mean, you guys have all, you've all had a seat at the table. No?
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna make an amendment. I'd make a motion to amend your amendment to 2 years.
Okay. Is there support?
I support that.
Okay, thank you. So it would read, motion to amend ending December 31st, 2027.
Thank you. Noted, right? It's been properly seconded. Mr. Johnson, did you have some
Discussion on this.
the amendment to the amendment?
So I'm not sure I understand where that's a middle ground, because in my mind, I feel like that is attempting to solve a symptom, but not actually address the issue. And so, I'm gonna go back, God, I feel like and you're right, so I don't disagree with the intent of the amendment. I guess I'm wondering though, like, could we just, if we're doing an extension of time, why don't we just keep it at the 3, but then add teeth to the, and we will commit to once the plan already existed, following the plan? Instead of a 2, because then you're like 2, but then also we're not going to actually acknowledge that the plan will have existed for a while. Let's just do 3, but then actually commit to the plan. I feel like you can either have.
That's what it was written.
We were there, we were there.
That's what we adopted originally.
Well, all right, so.
We had that.
So what we had was, the plan exists, we will follow the plan. But in reality, the plan did not yet exist.
Okay.
So we were almost at that, but we weren't at that.
Okay.
And I'm wondering how did, like, we're square in a rectangle. Either one of 1 year, which is a short timeline, but the plan does not exist yet, and at the end of this 1 year, the plan will exist, and then we start fresh. Or 3 years, the plan does not exist yet. Once we do develop the plan, we will adhere and agree to target the plan. And those are really the realities that I see. Anything between that is kind of dancing in gray space. So I appreciate the spirit of the amendment, but it's dancing in the gray space, if you know what I mean.
Thank you.
And I'm not trying to create, we're still
first
talking about my
amendment-
amendment, right?
Right.
We're discussing my amendment.
We are, in the rationale behind your
Right,
amendment.
yes.
Which is that there was an amendment already that you presented us today. Does it take us back to just the main, you know, am I missing something? That we would be back at 3 years? If we were just with the main, these amendments fizzled out?
No,
No.
because that's not the crux of the issue, is the plan.
The plan. Okay. So we have an agreement here that is supposed to move forward today, A, B, C, and D, with these various entities. This agreement has no plan. Is that what you're saying? Mr. Woodward?
I would say that as originally passed through this committee,
Yeah.
it referenced a plan that's not finalized yet. When there were some concerns, and there's been, like, in the last week, like, I didn't hear about it in transit stuff, didn't hear about it ED&I, and I know people have been working on this agreement for a long time.
Unanimously.
But it came up to light, and I honestly, I am receptive. I mean, it's not finalized yet. Okay, let's take the time to finalize it, then we can have it, and then we can have a conversation around an agreement that is tied to that plan. I hear what Commissioner Johnson's saying, but I would argue that that's kind of how it was written before, and that's what, and because the way it was written is what generated, I'm gonna say concern. So I think the way to address that is that we're not gonna include that, and we're gonna basically, in this agreement, is that we're gonna work towards finalizing a plan. You have a shorter time period, plan finalized, and then it's followed with a longer term plan, which is implementing it. I mean, I do want to make clear, it's like, we're not gonna adopt a plan that we're not gonna implement. So you know what, it's like, I don't wanna say, well, maybe we won't adopt a plan, we will adopt a plan. And I'm hopeful, just based on the growth of what we've been able to do in a short period of time, builds on it, because it's leading to more rides, it's leading to greater efficiencies in the respective providers, and so I hear what Commissioner Johnson is, I mean, one way or the other, but I would argue that the original version kind of did that, and that drew a lot of ire. And I swear to God, I'm never doing another contract ever again. They all draw ire, but I think the better solution is to stick to a 1 year, implement the plan, and then we add a more long-term plan.
Ms. Corker Cobb is going to, further understanding, restate where we are right now, this amendment to the amendment.
So the amendment,
Well, in discussion on my amendment, what if my amendment included a reopener when the plan got approved? So So we have a certain 2 years, satisfies their worries, which you say are unfounded, but. And then included, we reopen negotiate when the plan is formally adopted.
So 2 years.
So 2 years or sooner,
Well,
and then, so I'm trying to get to, right, here's.
I live in a world without a deadline. Things are easily pushed off further and further. So let's get it done at no longer than next week, next year. I'm optimistic 3 to 5 months. And then at that point, I would argue that is the trigger of the reopener, and is put a longer term plan in place at that point.
Let's put it in my motion, 2 years, so we got some, little more certainty. And when the plan gets formally adopted by this county board, it reopens the contract.
I guess I'll just say the one final point, like, we have certainty that we are funding these organizations, you know that. And so, like, that already exists. I just think this is making it unnecessarily more complicated. We've got language that in terms of waiting for a plan to be approved, like that language was agreed to by parties. And now we're just talking about the timeline to be able to do that. I mean, at that point, then I guess at any given moment, the contract is over. Once a plan's adopted?
No, it reopen negotiations, right?
I think, I just don't understand why we're adding an extra layer of complication.
I'm trying to
This is what
cover
we're gonna
the
have, we're gonna have
word.
a contract in 2026, we're gonna have a contract in 2027, we're gonna have a contract in 2028, and we're gonna have contracts in place all the way through 2032. Because we are obligated to honor the wishes of the voters when we said that we were collecting this revenue to fund these organizations.
Mr. Wyford, your motion, one more time, in a sentence is
to amend the amendment, which the amendment calls for it to go to December 31st, 26, to go to December 31st, 27.
7, and that's it.
That was it.
Okay.
And all the rest of the items stays the same.
So we're striking.
Just change 6 to 7.
Change 26 to 27.
Okay, so motion on the table is to amend the amendment to a deadline of December 31st, 2027, which would be a 2-year agreement instead of a 1-year agreement.
All right, is that
That's it.
I think you were to support?
Yes,
All right.
have to support it?
Nope, I think you're good. Discussion has been had. We can go now and prompt the vote on the amendment to the amendment, the Wyford amendment.
Votes go through?
No.
Nothing's come up.
I can e-vote.
Nothing.
I'll do a roll call.
Okay.
Markham.
No.
Miller.
No.
Taylor.
No.
Smiley.
Yes.
Woodward.
No.
Johnson.
No.
Wyford.
Yes.
Smith Charles.
How many yeses do you have right now?
You have 2 yeses.
I'm a yes. But this motion doesn't carry.
So yes, you have, I'm sorry, you have 3 yeas and 5 nays.
Yeah, and as my chair would say, insufficient number, something. I'm still learning.
Insufficient number in the affirmative.
That right there.
You know, I dream about that line.
I do too. So that takes us back to the original amendment.
Yeah.
And is there any further discussion on this? Right. In the language in red that was changed. Seeing nothing, no hands raised or whatever for the amendment, we can now prompt the vote.
So I lost Wi-Fi. Let's do another roll call.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So this is the initial amendment, the Woodward Johnson amendment that we're voting on. Did you lose?
Yes.
Correct. Okay, Markham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Whiteford,
No, so it could be discussed on board floor.
Smith Charles.
Yes.
You have 7 yeas, 1 nay.
Motion, sufficient number of votes in the affirmative, this motion carries. And that takes us to the main motion, and I think we have all of the motions in the movies. So we can call, or please, do your thing.
So this will be made motion as amended. Markham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Whiteford,
No.
Smith Charles.
Yes.
You have 7 yeas, 1 nay.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. That concludes the items under our regular agenda, or transit ad hoc committee recommendations. And I will open the floor for our second and final, thank you, Eli, second and final public comment.
Chris.
Please state your name for the record.
Hi friends, Chris Barnett, Orion Township Supervisor.
Welcome.
Thank you. Missed the first part, but I just wanted to just address, and I've spoken with several of you directly in the last week, so thank you for being available. Appreciate that very much. Just our concerns. I mean, I've been on the NOTA board for 13 years. And I will tell you, the good thing that's happening right now is that the 4 providers are absolutely working together. Better than ever. We've had 2 meetings in the last week with all 4 executive directors, the majority of the elected officials that are represented in the areas that the service districts involved in the discussion. And as you know and have heard, and I've talked to somebody directly, there's concerns about these changes. And we're concerned. And I mean, you just kind of made a joke, Mr. Chair, about contracts, and there's a little PTSD here. And this is the 4th time in 12 months that it was stated by someone, you know, we're here now, but why weren't we here before? Because we haven't been invited to the table. We truly have not been invited to the table. The consultant HNTB has met with our groups individually, but not collectively, not one time collectively. In order for a real plan, when you have groups that are providing a great service and doing it more cost effectively than smart, and you're developing a plan for the county and you wanna engage with us, then engage with us. Like, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all, but there's frustration brewing. We're looking for longer than a 1-year deal because there is uncertainty, and what has happened in the past 12 months in this room and in that room next door. No one can deny the frustration, the partnerships that we have, the services we provide together. And so that's what we're asking for. Just to be clear, 12 of the 19 electeds that serve our community are in service areas covered by People's Express, NOTA, WOTA, and OPC. It's the majority of the Board of Commissioners districts. This isn't an R or D fight like we've seen lots of times here. And specifically speaking to NOTA, we're investing $1.5 million. We've invested millions of dollars over the last few years into our infrastructure, into our facility, into equipment. And when we have a 1-year deal, and when the overall plan is basically speaking to our demise currently, it's hard for us to get behind this and support this. So I'm just encouraging you all to please don't make us show up at these meetings, be frustrated, and only be able to talk in public comment. That's what I said the last time I was here. Let us come to meetings. We wanna come. We didn't know. None of us knew that this was on the ED&I agenda for last week until after the vote, after the meeting happened and the vote already was taken. So it's hard for you as commissioners. You guys have a ton of responsibility and I respect that. But we are the ones in the weeds that can give you the data you need. And this is not meant to be a fight. Like, bring us all to this table or another big table and let us all help come up with a plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barnett. Not commenting on public comment, but I do believe we're not looking for the demise of our wonderful transit operation here. But I certainly appreciate that. Was there anyone else from the public who'd like to speak to this body?
Am I allowed to go up twice? I was like, I'm not sure the rules, but.
Off the agenda, right?
Well, it says anyway. So 3 minutes, and please begin.
Awesome. Well, first, I just wanted to thank everyone for this process. Like we, in the last few weeks, kind of came in access of information when it came to more chapters of the community transit plan. Prior to that, like the actual full drafts were not available to us. So I know the timing, there is a lot of frustrations, how it's kind of converged together. And that's where we understood, like, okay, we have hesitancy on this language in light of this new information. How can we come to you guys as a body with a solution? So in talking with Oakland County staff, we know that in good faith, the collaboration is there and the intention is for us to work as good partners together. What we wanted to be able to do is do a friendly amendment that kept the intention of your guys' language the same. We just clarified more on what our role is as we develop the community transit plan. And we actually thought it was an opportunity to provide more clarity on our key participation as stakeholders and what the HNTV team needs from us in order to make informed recommendations. I know we've talked about there is concerns with the plan, and I know we're working with county staff and that is being addressed, and we appreciate that, and that contract's being extended. I think one of the disappointments we have is we thought the friendly amendment was something you guys were on board with, of like, it's just clarifying intentions. We're still here to collaborate, we're good faith in parties together. The one area that it says to commit to implementing the plan is in Exhibit A. The parent agreement, that was talking about informing consistency in practices and providing information when it comes to data and us being a participant. So the parent agreement, we didn't really adjust any of the language or strike anything out. We almost separated two sentences together just to be clear. Exhibit A is where we asked for the commitment to implement the plan be striked out and said like we're committing to like coordination of the plan's development. Exhibit A is already an annual agreement that's renewed. So when we got news that the friendly amendment was going to be accepted, but because you guys made a fuss, now you're being punished and we're going to go from 3 years to 1 year. When we realized that the intention's the same. So that's where we wanted to ask that the parent agreement be maintained because the language we all agree with is the intentions are staying the same. And the Exhibit A where it says we have to commit to implementing, that was adjusted and it will be again revisited annually. And that's the only area that is annually revisited. So we weren't really sure how the correlation happened or what the direct reason for the change in years were. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, and good to hear that there's cooperation happening and dialogue and things like that. And I know how committed we are as a community to transit, as I stated before. And so thank you for that. And Eli, these things don't fall on deaf ear. See, it's technology all over. It's Halloween Eve, I think. So, are you all set there? We do appreciate your time this evening. It's not me. So, any other public comment?
They turned it off. I do my phone, I turn it off.
Oh,
That's all right.
sure. Like for good in the order?
Yeah, if you wanna just move to that.
Sure.
Okay.
So it looks like public comment, no one else coming up, and I'll go ahead and close our second public comment. Other business or an announcement or some conversation, Mr. Johnson?
Thank you. Yeah, I just, I think all y'all here know me. Transit's something that I care so deeply about. It's what I ran for office on, for county commission, to the chagrin of several people who thought that it was a bad issue for me to run for office on in Rochester Hills. But I care so much about it and I'm really passionate about it. So I take severe offense to the notion that this is a fight. This is not a fight. I don't think that we were having a fight. That this is a tremendously beautiful example of government, and it has been for years. I've been so blessed to work with our little task force committee of really bipartisan, gung-ho, let's do this thing right, let's do this thing well, let's do this thing in a data-driven, policy-forward attitude. And our providers have been at the table the entire time. I mean, Kim, I think you have a perfect attendance record at our transit meetings. This is literally though, so I'm grateful for their partnership, their support and their work. None of this is a surprise to anyone. This is the end, the well-known, well-anticipated end of a regularly scheduled conclusion of a 3-year contract. This was not a surprise to anyone, and it's unfortunate that it had this hiccup because of bad timings with the plan with a capital P coming to a conclusion in an inopportune moment. But I would really push against calling this a fight. I don't think anyone here is looking to have a brawl over just providing good transit services to our citizens. I mean, like that's a good thing to do. We're doing a good job of it, thanks to your work, and I don't want us to lose the lodestone of just providing good, honest service. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate those final comments. You are very closely related to this whole thing, so you kind of are our harbinger. So thank you, Mr. Harbinger. Anything else from commissioners on EDI for today? Again, I really appreciate you all making time to be here for this special meeting, and with that, EDI is adjourned for today.